Welcome to another video in which we'll be solving another Hackerrank problem. This video we're going to be solving the minimax Hackerrank problem on Hackerrank, and this problem is is a quite simple problem to solve basically. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe our channel, and let us know in the comments if there's any topic that you want to cover, any problem that you want to cover, and we'll try to make sure that that happens. With that out of the way, let's start on this problem. So basically, what we need in this problem, we're given an array of numbers, as you can see here, right? We have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. This is the array we have. But what we need to do in this array is basically in this array we need to find the highest sum of four numbers and the lowest sum of four numbers. So the point that you need to note here is that we're given five we're given five elements in the array, but our sum highest and lowest sum needs to be highest and lowest sum need to be of four arrays. So we need to use four uh, elements from this list to find the sum, highest and the lowest sum, basically in this particular problem. How do we go about doing that, right? And those these are the two things, right? And then we need to print that out like this, like the lowest sum first and the highest sum next, but that needs to be on the same line. As you can see, this is the terminal view we need to have for this particular problem. So again, we have, I think, three things that we need to do in this problem. And you just need to identify the things that you need to do in each of these problems, and you should be able to easily solve these problems. Basically, so the three things in this particular problem is: number one, we need to calculate the total sum of these values. And you might be thinking, but that doesn't make sense from what we've covered. I'll go over that basically, but this is basically my logic to solve this problem. Calculate total sum of all five elements, right? No, total sum of the array, not of four or any elements, but of all elements of the array. Calculate this sum, right? Number two, we need to then deduct the uh, lowest valued uh, lowest valued element, the element with the lowest value in the array. Find the highest sum. Similarly, we also need to deduct the highest, rather need to deduct the highest value element, the array, find the lowest sum. These are two things we need to do. And then number three, we print these values, basically. These are the three things we need to do this particular problem. So how do we go about doing that? So let's focus on this aspect first, right? Deduction. So how do we identify the highest valued number and the lowest valued number? We basically, simply speaking, we we sort it out using the sort method. We sort the array out from lowest to highest or highest to lowest. And once the element is sorted out, then we can simply use the first element as the lowest value, lowest value, I think I get too angular for this, so let me little bit more straighter. So we need to sort the entire array out first to find the lowest and highest values. Once the array is sorted, the first element is the lowest value, and the last element, which is the fifth element, be the highest value. That makes sense. So that's how we get the lowest and the highest values and then deduct them. At the same time, uh, calculating the total, we can do that using a for loop. Nothing technical. We just use the for loop to go over each element and add it to that. Or if you want to be even more, concise, you can use a sum. You can use the sum method in solve this problem as well. It's the sum method to solve this problem as well. So either you can use the for loop or the sum method. It doesn't change anything, right? And then we print it. And in printing, we just need to remember that it needs to print out like this. That is the main issue with the printing. As long as it prints the values like this, the lowest and highest sum, we can solve this problem. Now we need to talk about one more thing before we actually get to solving this problem, and that is the time complexity and the memory complexity. So if we use the array.sort method, and that might be the this might be the reason to choose between for loop and the sum, because if you're using the sum method, which is we're going to use, the sum method's time complexity is O big O of n log n. So that's the time complexity for the sum method, right? So again, you might want to choose the loop method, based on the time complexity. Similarly, then when we're using the sum function, sorry, this was the sort function that I was referring to. Sort function has a time complexity of O n log n, right? But the sum function is different. The sum function a has a time complexity of O of 1 in this case. So whether we use it or we don't use it, it's the same thing, right? And the total time complexity is O of 1. So again, even if you use the sort mechanism, ultimately the time complexity for this entire problem, this is the time complexity. We're talking about memory complexity. Let's go over that as well. What is the memory complexity of this problem? So when we talk memory complexity, the input array, for the input array, we need the space of O of n. That's necessary. So the amount of elements is the amount of space we need, right? That's straight away, right? And then the auxiliary variables require O of 1 of additional space, O of 1 for auxiliary elements that we're creating or variables. And at a total time complexity of these two combined is IMI. So the total time complexity for this is O of 1 constant time, right? So basically, as the space does not grow, because the space does not grow with input size, uh, our time complexity becomes not. And that is basically the memory and time complexity for this. So with that out of the way, let's move towards actually just solving this problem. So here, start getting our program put it out. So first we need to sort the array as we mentioned earlier. So let's set that up. Now we have set up now that we have sorted the array, the next thing we need to do is to calculate the minimum sum and the maximum sum, right? And we've discussed how to do that. So let's set that up. So again, as we're using zero indexing in Python or any programming language, 4 means that we don't include the last element of this 5-element arrays within the sum, and that's how we calculate the min sum, because the array is now sorted. Uh, is sorted. So once the array is sorted with the sorted array, we don't need to calculate. With the sorted array, the last element, if we exclude that, we get the minimum sum. And then we focus on the next thing, which is calculate the max sum. So max sum, we exclude the first element, which should be 0 in indexing, but 1 is included because the starting element in slicing operations is inclusive, while the ending element is exclusive. So that's sorted out. Then we need to print this value. So it's quite simple. Let's print the result. We have the min and max sum sorted out. We need to print the min sum first and max sum later. Now, if we run this code, let's see if this works. Yep, both test case pass, and that is how you solve the minimax problem on Hackerrank. And with that, we're going to wrap this video up. We'll see you on our next video. Thank you.